Minister Goh, you were Prime Minister during challenging times, and arguably in this particular period of modern history, we live in even more divisive times. What do you anticipate in terms of global trends, and how can we best anticipate that and prepare ourselves for it?
Well, I think the challenge for us is the changing attitude towards globalization. And I can see signs of some countries moving towards selective protectionism. So that's one trend we've got to watch out for. The other, of course, is technological change. That's going to have an impact on all of us. And not all countries can cope with changes in technology, because technology may replace some jobs, and people are out of jobs. What do? I mean, there is a real problem looking after their livelihood. And the most pressing problem now is what I sense, the misunderstanding or not adequate understanding between two big countries, US and China. And China is now seen by the US as a potential strategic threat, to their national security. But this is based on maybe prejudices, misunderstanding, but the consequences will be quite worrying for us.
Just want to leverage off your two roles, both in Singapore and as a global states figure. Singapore could also be perceived to be a threat given its enormous economic and social progress. Yet it manages to strike a balance of being friends and partners. How do you negotiate those waters, and what would you say are the essential skills to take from that, no matter how big or small your country is?
No, that is perceptive, because in our part of the world, Singapore thrives on adding value to other people. So we have to be, for example, a very efficient port. But when we became successful as a port, our neighbors, of course, did not quite like it. Without Singapore, maybe their ports have flourished. So we were seen as a threat to their prosperity. But it's a question of growing the pie. When the world grows, more cargoes come to the area through Singapore. Our port is still the biggest in the area, but their ports also grow. But very importantly, one minister from Indonesia told me, he said, "Thank you very much for your efficient port. Otherwise, our goods from Indonesia would have difficulties in being shipped out to the rest of the world, because they say their ports were not so efficient, and Indonesia is a very big country, sprawling country, many islands, so the goods got to be transported to Singapore and shipped out." So it's getting people to understand. So we add value to others. That's the key. You've got to add values to the others. You don't take away their ability to grow. You add value, and they also grow. So that's one way, I think, to get countries accepted. So trade became, in fact, a partner for them.
There is a temptation to look at one of the biggest global challenges today, the trade dispute between the United States and China, two of the biggest economies in the world, and to be limited to that one narrow area, where in fact it's much wider and deeper than that. What should we be thinking about in terms of functional thinking and approaches, not just the trade dispute?
There are some differences which can be addressed. Take the case of China, for example. China joined WTO some years ago as a developing country. That would give China more time to implement certain policies. But China is now so competitive in many areas, and the developed countries will say this is unfair to them. They can't compete. So the term they use now is not free and open trade, but fair trade. What does fair trade mean? It means you give them a chance. So where there are rules which can be changed, China should be at the forefront, working with the other members. Say, okay, let's update the rules. And this is important in the area of digital economy. That's a new area. There are no rules there. So I think China should move into that area to say, let's set up some rules on digital economy competition. What are the rules? And if China takes the lead, others will join, and the rules should be fair to all. I think these are the things which China can do. And the question of intellectual property, I think China should take the lead. I can tell you this, in the old days, Singapore was poor. We were actually copying a lot of stuff from other people. We were in fact photocopying books and arguing that this is good for the students. I mean, they couldn't afford. But we were actually stealing property of others. Then, within ourselves, we argued, we are going to be producing intellectual property. That must be the aspiration of Singapore. not just copying others. So when we started to have innovative products with intellectual property, we started to argue better have intellectual property. So China is in that position now where China must protect its intellectual property. So again, China can move forward through WTO and through this intellectual property organization in the world to move forward. So that phase should be over for China. So move forward. And then by moving forward, you are showing to the others that I'm cooperating with you. I'm not going to steal your intellectual property, but please don't steal mine when mine is there in future.
In reality, is there a way forward in a setting where, on top of all the challenges that you negotiated when you were Prime Minister, we have digital eras, we've got the emergence of 5G, the good and the bad, we've got fake news. Is it possible for our young people to skillfully have the required set of tools to handle that?
Well, I think we have to learn as we go along. There's no ready solution at this stage. So when this comes along, the leaders and the people go to work out a solution. The fake news, internet, when it came about, I was at one of the early meetings at APEC talking about internet. And the leaders are talking about the positive aspects of internet. I warned them that we should also look at the negative side, because internet could be abused by people.
You saw it even then. What did you see then?
I did not see terrorism abusing internet. I did not know about fake news and so on. But I know that a road, is meant for good as well as for robbers to get away too. So I just say, internet, look at the negative part. But I did not foresee fake news, money laundering through the internet, bitcoins, cryptocurrency and so on. I did not see all those. But every positive part has got some negative. Globalization has got its negative tail effects. So therefore, for the young people, have a balance. We look at the positive side and control the negative side. Not allow the negative side to inhibit progress, to restrain you. So move forward first, and then that's what we do with the negative side.
One of your great values as a facilitator is that you're able to see things from around and beyond your independent platform. What would you tell the US and China? They've got very different systems. Does democracy in the Western sense work for China?
Well, I would say, both systems work for their respective country. Organization, the society, the way it's organized, was organized, is organized, and going forward, they're different. But what are they for? What are these two organizations for? It is not for the good of the people in charge. It's to advance the welfare of the people. Then yours is this way, historically and culturally, mine is this way. Are we advancing the interests of the people? And let's look at certain common norms. Like human rights, I think both sides would agree. What is human rights? Of course, one side can accuse the other side of not living up to human rights. Answer is, if I'm not, I aspire to that kind of human rights. But in China's case, the greatest human right China has given to the people is relief from poverty. It's 400 million people, middle class, but maybe 800 million people now enjoying a good life. I've been here in 1971, I could see poverty. So that's the greatest human right you have given to the people of China. Poverty, education, health, and so on. Transport, ability to move around China now. That's freedom for the people. One day, maybe, the people here will enjoy other kind of freedom which the West talk about. But let China progress at its own pace. Primarily, you must have stability, security, in order to have a good economy. I think China is moving in the right direction.
Millions of people have lent and depended on your experience and your leadership, and I trust that millions more will learn how to walk on their own and beyond.
No, my experience is that of governing a very small country. That's all.
Minister Goh, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.